Donald Trump is back on the campaign trail this weekend after officially clinching the Republican nomination, just days after hosting Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban at Mar-a-Lago. Trump heaped praise on the autocrat, who's cracked down on the press in his country, restricted LGBTQ rights, and opposes NATO support for Ukraine. It's not the first time Trump has praised Orban or other dictators around the world.
There's nobody that's better, smarter, or a better leader than Viktor Orban.
President Xi is a brilliant man. Putin, very smart.
Kim Jong-un I had a good relationship with. He's a tough, smart guy.
Which got us to wondering, Kara, what's with Trump's affection for strongmen?
He's watched Godfather too many times. I don't know. He's just a bully, and so he likes bullies, and he's not as good at it as they are. So he's cosplaying bullying. He likes that dictatory. Adjacent.
Do you think he has ambitions himself, or do you think he just is impressed by what they get away with?
Of course he has ambitions himself, but he'll never be able to do it because he's not them. We'll see. Maybe he will. Maybe he will. I don't know.
Reihan, how do you explain Trump's praise for dictators and apparent pride in getting along with them?
I honestly think that Donald Trump thinks of himself as a deal maker, and he loves people who are willing to kiss the ring and willing to praise him, and people who are adversarial, he goes cold fast. So it's not just dictators. Shinzo Abe, back when he was prime minister of Japan, made a big show of currying favor with Donald Trump. He loved Shinzo Abe. Zelensky, Vladimir Zelensky of Ukraine is someone who actually Donald Trump does not, in fact, say negative things about, because he thinks of Zelensky as someone who did not work hand in hand with the Democrats.
It's not just a matter of a deal. Why do you think he's not bothered by the fact that they run autocracy?
Because he is someone who is really self-focused. If he thinks that he can cut a deal, yeah, there you go. And if he thinks he can cut a deal with someone, he can woo them with his words, which is what he was always doing as a deal maker, as a real estate mogul. That's his mental model.
Self-focused, like code for narcissism. I just want.
Yeah. But Trump does fancy himself a strong man in certain ways, and the difference between Trump and Xi and Putin is one, the self-discipline factor, but two, that our system of government won't allow it. And I do think we have to look at the difference between words and actions here, where Joe Biden has taken very maximalist rhetoric towards some of these countries. Trump may have kissed up to some of these dictators rhetorically, but if you take Russia as an example, his policies actually were quite hard-line.
Well, I want to pick up on that, because Trump says that getting along with Putin was a good thing, and notes that Putin didn't invade Ukraine on his watch. Take a look.
We are a nation that allowed Russia to devastate a country, Ukraine, killing hundreds of thousands of people. And it will only get worse. It would never have happened with me as your commander-in-chief. And for 4 long years, it didn't.
Lulu, did Trump's Putin strategy, whether you like it or not, did it work?
I would say it is very difficult to know what was in Putin's mind about when he took the action that he did. But there is another argument that says that because Trump weakened NATO, it was actually right picking for Putin to push into Ukraine, because you had, in his view, a weakened NATO, you had a new president, and possibly the best chance that he would have had to push in and take over the country that he always wanted.
But the fact is, Trump points out, quite correctly, that Putin moved into Ukraine under Obama. Exactly. Putin moved into Ukraine under Biden. Putin didn't move into Ukraine under Trump. So does Trump have a point?
Russia has perpetrated 2 major acts of aggression in the past decade. Russia invaded Crimea in 2014, and Russia invaded Ukraine 2 years ago. Those happened under Obama and under Joe Biden. Under Trump, he may think it's that he got along with Putin and said nice things. In reality, he pulled out of the INF Treaty. He provided lethal aid to the Ukrainians. And those were on-the-ground deterrents that his predecessor and his successor did not do.
So the key thing is to make sure that, you can have conciliatory rhetoric, but it has to be a kind of iron fist with a velvet glove. You have to have that other part where you have folks around you who are willing to be hawkish, willing to be tough. Trump had that in his first term. The question is, if he wins a second term, will that also be true? Because a lot of those foreign policy traditionalists
Putin's,
might not be around.
But come on, he looks like a puppet to Putin. And Putin loves having Donald Trump in office.
But it's absolutely the case the Trump administration ramped up the pressure on Putin during his first term.
That may be, but he was waiting for his chance to come in.
And that happened to be when you have a feckless Joe Biden in office. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I just want to move to one other point here, and that is Trump's talk, speaking about his affection for strongmen, his talk about being a dictator on day one, weaponizing the Justice Department, suspending the Constitution. Lulu, seriously, do you think Trump's talk about dictators is just talk?
I don't think it's just talk. And the reason I know that it isn't just talk is because you see actually an entire apparatus around Donald Trump, especially for his second term, that lifts up people like Viktor Orban, that talks about Christian nationalism in terms that are honorific and saying that this is a model for America that they need to emulate. And that is, I think, deeply problematic. I don't know that the guardrails of democracy in this country are actually prepared for that.
Is it just talk, or do you see some movements towards authoritarianism in a second Trump term?
Again, our system won't allow it. Trump, if it were up to him, he'd still be in office. He wouldn't have let Biden take office on January 1st, but our system wouldn't allow it. There are a lot of things Trump would like to do. He says a lot of stupid things. Fortunately, thank God, and thanks to the founders, we have a system of government that will not allow him to do all of the things that he would like to do.